my funnily lovelies. I hope that you are having an awesome day, and it's about to get more awesome because I'm about to tell you my whole story about having HS, aka Hidradenitis Suppurativa. Don't really know how awesome that is, but hey, it did set me on a course that changed my life completely in a way that I never would have expected. And you gotta roll with the punches, okay? So before I get into that boxing match, please check out my disclaimer. All right, you checked it out? You promised not to sue me? Let's get into the video. Getting into the video, well, I didn't know that I had hidradenitis suppurativa for a very, very long time. It pretty much hit me. It was like first occurring when I was a teenager, just as I was going through puberty. Was the time when I started getting these boils. Now, everybody thought that these boils were actually ingrown hairs, at least people in my family, because of course they're not doctors, they didn't know, and they just thought they would just go away. Well, gradually the boils, like they used to be small, like little like pea-sized looking I guess bumps, but then they got bigger and bigger, and by the time I was in, I want to say high school, probably, I had gotten them pretty much about the size of like the diameter of a baseball. I had them underneath my arms and between my legs. It was very painful. I found it painful to sit, painful definitely to walk, especially like in my leg area. And I didn't know what to do. Like, I had no idea. I mean, nobody else that was around me had it. I mean, later on I did meet other people who had what they thought were ingrown hairs too. They turned out to be boils. But I mean, it is what it is, you know, but no one had any idea about it because hidradenitis suppurativa is not a well-recognized disease. I think my mom took me to a few doctors when it first started happening, when I kept telling her how much pain I was in. But the doctors they just didn't know what would happen. They said a lot of them, I think, thought it was weight. A lot of them thought it was maybe hormonal. They wanted to put me on birth control, which neither me or my mother was fond of. And so we just kept it moving. Like, I mean, we wasted our money on seeing those first few physicians. And then I had kept it a secret from my father and his side of the family. Until like I had to ask my grandmother one day for bandages, and she's like, "Why? Where are you bleeding?" And I didn't want to tell her, and she's like, "You need to tell me where you're bleeding." And so I told her it was under my arms, and she saw the massive boils. She saw how red and inflamed they were, and she let my dad know, like, you need to take her to a doctor, like, now. And so I went to the doctor. And he was probably the fifth or sixth physician I saw. He's a very well-renowned physician in my area, or pediatrician rather. But he didn't diagnose me. He looked at them, he examined them. He explained that it seemed to be a form of folliculitis. And I asked him repeatedly, what form? Okay, like this is before I even learned about anything medical. Okay, this is me. I was like maybe 15, maybe 14, 15 years old at this time. And even I knew, hey, doctor, diagnose me. I mean, we're shelling out, you know, hundreds of bucks, probably at least out of our pocket to see you. Why aren't you telling me what is going on with my body? He refused. He pretty much told me, lose weight. It's going to go away. Okay. So that was like one of the first like slap in the face kind of experiences that I ever had with a doctor. Having that sort of weight discrimination against me was not fun. In my mind, when he told me that, I pretty much knew I wasn't going to lose the weight. I mean, part of me still wanted to lose weight, but how could I? I had tried so many different ways and I could not figure out how to lose the weight. And he didn't even give me an eating plan. Literally, he went on about.com, printed out a whole packet on boils, and sent me home. He didn't do anything. And it was like the most unnerving experience ever. Like, I mean, I can't even right now with that whole scenario. And what's ironic is that same doctor ended up being a well, let's just say our paths crossed again. Uh, and he recognized me, I think, but I just pretended not to know him because, I mean, in my book, if you weren't even able to properly help me as my physician, then you're dead to me, pretty much. So, I mean, I treated him like the way I would treat anybody else, but if he never said that he remembered me, I never said I remembered him. Just kept it moving. But you know, you have to be an adult about things. You have to let it go. If people don't want to do their due diligence, that's on them. That just shows their lack of professionalism. And for me, it took me on a path where I started being like, what is everybody talking about? Because I've always been the kind of person where if something is wrong, you know, someone may mention it or someone may, you know, see that there's a need for improvement, but I'm the person who's going to speak up, okay? That is my personality type. I'm going to speak up. I'm going to call you out on what you're doing wrong. And I'm the kind of person where if no one else is going to fix something, I'm going to fix it for myself, okay? I don't have any time for people messing up my life because they're incompetent or incapable or unknowledgeable about the thing that they're supposed to be strong in. Like, it's supposed to be their profession and their life's work or dedication or career, and yet you do a really crummy job at it. Yeah. So for the most part, I'm going to be honest, I'm not 100% keen on doctors. Being around doctors a lot once I became an adult made me even more disillusioned by them, even though I've been around a lot of ones that were pretty much brilliant, very high IQs. And, you know, at the same time, I'm like, you guys, they don't do everything that they're supposed to. Let's just say that, especially when it comes to diagnosing things and, you know, giving people answers is the saddest part to me, is because I was suffering. I was in a lot of pain. And when you're young and no one else seems to care or understands you, it sucks to say the least. It is the worst. And I had to be patient. I mean, I think having this disease taught me a lot of patience because it took years before more information came out. I went home, I would Google, like every few months, I would Google different forms of folliculitis, cures for folliculitis, whatever with folliculitis or folliculitis, however you're supposed to say it. And there was hardly much out there. Like I was told to take warm baths. I was told to, like, I guess not stress out or something, which is impossible when you have an autoimmune disorder that you don't understand. And I mean, like, no answers were given. So I was pretty much like wandering in the dark for probably, let's see, I was 14 at the time, and it had been like 2 or 3 years up until that point that my HS had popped up. So let's see, since I was 12 and then like 14, and then like I didn't get answers fully until I was like 20, 21. Let me see, because I'm 24 at the moment. Let's see. And I've been on autoimmune protocol for 2.5 years, and then I was off a year. So 3 years ago. So yeah, around 21 was when I looked it up again and finally found out that autoimmune paleo or autoimmune protocol helps to get symptoms in remission. There were so many people that were way angrier than I was about doctors not being able to diagnose or help them in any way, shape, or form. Now, I'm not calling out doctors in general because I know there are some loving physicians out there who are good at their job, who are capable at their job, but those are few and far between. And unfortunately, they're very hard to get because everybody that learns about them snatches them up, all their appointments, and they're so busy that they don't get a chance to have a lot of new patients and things like that, like me. There are some doctors out right now on YouTube. I think it's a channel called Help for HS, or no, that's their website, Tune Functional Medicine. They're talking about hidradenitis suppurativa, but they're like so far away from me. So I really hope I do get to have like a consultation with them one day, but for the most part, they're so far away that I'm probably just going to have to check them out at a distance. But I mean, at least you know that there are people that do understand your disorder and do want to help you and do want to be sympathetic or empathetic and have better bedside manner. that is worthy of a professional physician. But it is what it is. You know, I've been around dozens of doctors at this point, and I just understand that some have certain mindsets that are just so set in their ways that they don't really want to be bothered with changing and growing and actually committing to bettering the lives of their patients. It's a sad thing, but it's true. And you know, you just have to keep searching. You can't give up completely on doctors because at some point you're going to need them. And I have met some amazing doctors that truly do a good job. And so I'm not going to bash every single one of them, but I am going to say that the ones that I had at that time period were lousy, to say the least. And I am thankful at least that the last doctor came close, at least got me in the ballpark of what my disorder was. And then later on, I guess as information on computer systems and the internet grew, I was able to type in my symptoms once again and find that the name of my disorder was hidradenitis suppurativa. I had to self-diagnose. This was unfortunate because, you know, you would think after spending hundreds and thousands of dollars that you would find someone to actually give you a diagnosis for your disorder, but it didn't happen that way for me. For me, I had to figure out a lot on my own. And, you know, I didn't even come across autoimmune protocol entirely on my own. I heard people mentioning paleo and stuff online, but it wasn't until I spoke with like my friends who had completely different autoimmune disorders from me that I learned about autoimmune protocol, and I started to look into it and started to look into recipes and things like that and apply it to my life. Now, as I've said, I didn't do it perfectly from the start. Like when I first started AIP, I was still eating sugar. I was still eating, let's see, what else? I was still eating like stuff with processed ingredients and natural flavors and xanthan gum, all that stuff. Let me think. What else was I eating? Cheese. Yep, I had a hard time giving up that dairy, okay? I love some dairy. Dairy was like, oh my goodness, growing up, I just loved cheese. I mean, I'm in the South, and the South has everything smothered in cheese. So, you know, I mean, it's hard to give that up. But eventually I found a way to give it up. And I thought I was like gluten-free, but there's a lot of gluten-free products that are not AIP, pretty much most, because they derive from grains. They're packed with a lot of sugar, a lot of different things. I mean, they taste good, don't get me wrong, but they weren't autoimmune protocol. So I had to learn a lot about what I was doing wrong. I covered a lot of different things randomly on the internet that helped guide me. And a lot of it is stuff that I can't even find now. Like, I came across this random Word document. Don't know who published it, but just coming across that Word document showed me that there were other things that I was missing. And so somehow, I mean, whoever put that Word document out there, I have no clue who it was, but whoever did, I'm so thankful for that person, because there were so many things that I was missing that were going over my head because autoimmune protocol is so complicated. But once I learned about those things and then I looked further into them, I was like, okay, that's what was wrong. Okay. So now, of course, more information is coming out about HS in general. They have now noticed in further studies of the disease that the elimination of something called brewer's yeast, which is pretty much a fungus, is really helpful. Eliminating that is really helpful to getting your disorder into remission. It's not a cure-all because apparently there's like dozens of other factors aside from what you eat, also what you put on your body, also stress, also emotions, also, let me see what else, genetics. There are a whole lot of things that can cause your autoimmune disorder, including HS, and there are a whole lot of things that can cause a flare-up aside from just eating right. And I ate right. I ate squeaky clean for pretty much, let me see, how long was it? A year and a half, maybe 2 years. And after that, I mean, I was losing at a steady progression. I had a food journal. I had a food diary. I was weighing myself like once every week or so. And I was losing weight at about I want to say 3 to 4 pounds a week, maybe, which is what I've learned to be healthy, because losing more than 5 pounds a week is not healthy. And you have to be very careful with having an autoimmune disorder, because having an autoimmune disorder, you start freaking out about everything you eat, especially if you eat something wrong, and then 3 days later you get the reaction because it's gone through your whole body system. It's like, what? You know, why am I flaring up when I worked so hard? And it is so easy when you have that mindset to develop an eating disorder. So you have to be on the ball, and you have to be like, okay, it's all right. You have to be your own cheerleader. You have to get yourself out of it. You have to explain to people constantly what your autoimmune disorder is. And honestly, a lot of people aren't really going to care. They'll care enough to like make a comment about it if they notice that you're not eating cake and fries and burgers and stuff with everybody else. Even though you can't have burgers, but they have to be a different kind of burger. But you know, at the end of the day, it's really all on you. And I think that's kind of a good thing, because once you learn to rely on yourself and be a little bit more self-reliant, that means you can focus more on accomplishing your goals. Because if everybody wants to make a big deal, everybody wants to be involved, then that can kind of sometimes ruin you. Even though having a great support system is crucial, as people say, I still think, and I mean, studies have even shown, I was just listening to a webinar the other day saying that, you know, if you decide something to do on your own and you don't tell anybody about it, you are more likely to achieve that goal. You're more likely to hang in there and stick with it. And so I think that's what happened mainly with me, is so many people were just as apathetic as that doctor was, that I was like, okay, y'all do you, I'm going to do me and focus on my goals and get my autoimmune disorder in check, okay? Also, just to add, now, autoimmune protocol, I had to make it a lifestyle, because I have the severest form of HS. I have stage 3, so I have scarring everywhere. I'm not going to show you the scars in this video, maybe in a future video, but having the severest form meant like my body's gotten to this really far off point. I guess the whole purpose of AIP is to reintroduce things into your body, and your body will, I guess, not have a heavy response to them as they did previously. However, with HS, since now it's becoming more of a sort of allergy to Brewer's yeast kind of thing, it's a little bit different. Now, of course, the last thing I want to do is make my body more sensitive to other foods, but I mean, being on autoimmune protocol, I noticed that my body really does respond well to it. Now, the autoimmune protocol, just to tell you, is designed to be temporary. I think maybe at 30 or 60 days at most. As very similar to Whole 30 in that regards, in that aspect. But definitely weigh in on doctors' opinions, medical opinions, do your own research to see how temporary you want it to be. And especially in my case, if I notice I'm losing too much weight, because I tend to lose a lot of weight very fast on autoimmune protocol, I will eat regular food or try to put other things that I can have into my diet, because now I'm learning, because of Brewer's yeast, that I can't have things that I couldn't have on autoimmune protocol, like, what is it, brown rice, I think, and I think beans, like black beans and things like that, as long as they're like 100% natural and pure and things like that, I can have those. So I definitely do need to expand a little bit so that I can make sure I'm losing my weight or maintaining my weight at the level that I am comfortable with, and the level that is considered safe by most experts. So please keep that in mind, everyone. So that's what I did, and I accomplished that. And I mean, I understand that HS has no cure. I understand that, I don't know, maybe just figuring out everything that Brewer's yeast is going to help me to get rid of this disorder once and for all. Or maybe, you know, I just have to stay on AIP. I don't know. I mean, there's so much that is a mystery about my disease and my illness. And you know, there are so many people that have had so many procedures done, skin grafting, chemotherapy. There are a lot of different things that people do for HS, and they don't really 100% work, okay? Sometimes it just pops up somewhere else. And for me, I'm like, well, my body's already wrecked enough as it is with all the scarring from the boils, that I'm just like, you know what, if I can just keep the flare-ups from happening anymore and keep my body from getting worse, then maybe I can take care of the scarring later. But it's a whole lot better than having the skin completely ripped off of my body and replaced with something else. Or, you know, I don't feel comfortable with the idea of it. There are some people that I know that have had it done and they were happy with the results. But for me, I'm just like, I can't do it. I can't. So just like with everything that I put out there, you know, you can take it or leave it, because there's some experiences that I have left on the table because it just wasn't right for me. It just wasn't. And Autoimmune Protocol was right for me, because now I feel so much better. I feel like my energy level is higher. I feel like more content with everything. I feel like my emotions are more stable. I feel like with my body, I feel like I don't have my gut will be like bubbling sometimes after I've eaten dairy or something greasy. My body, like, everything just feels like it's running perfectly. Like you just got, what's it called? I'm doing another car engine illustration. Like you just got your oil changed. Like, you know, like your car is happy because it got some, you know, its system cleaned out pretty much. Or I don't know what they do when they flush a transmission or something. I don't know. It sounds weird when I'm saying it. But I feel like everything's in running order, and I feel so much better when I'm on HS. When I eat regular food, sometimes I'm happy because I missed it a little, but for the most part, I kind of feel like the guilt, and I feel like a failure kind of, because, you know, I know that Autoimmune Protocol is what my body wants me to be on, and I know that I'm supposed to be eating foods that are better for my body to keep these flare-ups from happening. And I am grateful for having the disorder, because even though this disorder has wrecked my life in so many different ways and really just ruined my physical outside body, my inner person has transformed as a result of the pain. And I've now reached to this point where I'm ready to share my experience with others to help them and to support them and help them to see things that I, you know, missed when I first started. And I wish that I had somebody who was there in my corner. And so I'm trying to be that for other people. Of course, I can't do that in like a medical professional capacity, but if I can just share my philosophical views and it brings out some positivity into the world, then that's enough for me. For now, I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and I hope that maybe if you have HS, it's hopefully shed a little bit of light on the experience that may be similar to you. If it is, definitely please leave me a comment below, and also sign up for my email list, please, if you want to have further updates on my videos and to my free giveaways that I'm going to be having in the future. I would love for this channel to grow so that other people who don't know about it can discover this and see if, you know, Autoimmune Protocol is something that they can do. It's really a wonderful process if you really commit to it and you really see how your body and your mind, everything transforms. So it's a metamorphosis that you will go through once you decide what works for you, whether it's Autoimmune Protocol or just paleo or whatever works for you. As long as you commit to it and you get the results that you want, that's what's going to work for you. That's what's going to work the best for your life and for whatever you want in this life. So for now, I need to clear my throat because I'm just like losing it. Anyway, for now, my funnily lovelies, have an incredible day.